Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So sales is life, okay? What do I mean by that? Now, for you guys to understand what I'm talking about, I kind of have to break down what sales is and what exactly I'm talking about when I say sales, right? Because a lot of people think of sales, they think of that car salesman, you know, come buy this car, come buy this car, I'll do that. Oh, come sit down, I'll show you what, very high pressure, very pushy, very in your face, right? Sales is not that, right? What sales is, and if you guys watch Jeremy Miner, if you guys watch a lot of these big creators, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, where I'm getting a lot of this definition from. Sales is change, right? So what do I mean by that, right? What you have to do is figure out if the prospect needs to change and how to make them change for the better, right? Because at the end of the day, sales is just convincing someone to change for their better, right? Okay, to understand that and unpack that, right, what that means, there's two things that we kind of have to understand in sales. There's your current state and your future state, right? So your current state is where you're at now, what you're doing, and I'll put it into context for y'all so y'all have a real life example that y'all can go ahead and go off of. Imagine and for my sake, we'll just do this. Imagine you're a marketing agency and you're talking to a potential prospect, a guy that's a contractor, and he does roofing. So what you have to do and how you figure out someone's current state and what that would mean would be what they're doing currently for marketing. What results have they gotten in the past? Have they done any marketing in the past? Why haven't they done any marketing? Where they're at now, where they want to take the business, all this stuff that like their current state, right? So where they are right now, what are they currently doing right now? What in terms of marketing, right? So once you figure that out and what they're currently doing, you have to begin to build a gap between where they want to be, right? And I mean, this is basic sales. Like if you guys have read any type of sales book, if you guys watched Jeremy Miner, if you guys have watched who's another Hermosi, you guys have watched any of these big creators, like I'm sure you guys have seen this before. You got to build a gap, right, between the current state and the future state. Now the future state is where they want to be, right? And it's not necessarily like a solid tangible number, but it's more of like where they want their life to be, the vision that they have for themselves. So it can be a tangible number. Yeah, I want to hit $10,000 per month, but at the end of the day, there's no emotional value attached to a certain number, and that's why you kind of want to attach it to a vision, because it's a little bit more emotional, a little more personal, a little more there's a little more depth to it than if you attach a number to it, right? Whatever that number is, right? So okay, you're like, Alex, you just explained this to me. What does that have to do with life? What does that have to do with anything today, right? So in order to understand what sales is understanding the change, right? Why people make change. At the end of the day, if you're in let's say we're analyzing someone's current situation, we have to look at how much pain they're in, right? What their current situation has that is hurting them or is hindering them from getting to where they want to be. And at the end of the day, sales is figuring out, is changing going to be more beneficial than staying where you're at? And in most occasions, especially in the marketing agency realm and all that stuff, changing is going to be far more beneficial to you, even though that initial pain of changing is going to be difficult. The price is, it might be expensive. It might be hard to adapt to a new system. It might be hard to do all these things and to change into a new system. But is the pain of staying going to hurt you more than the pain of leaving? That's all sales is, right? And at the end of the day, as a salesperson, we just got to get that information out of them. And if at the end of the day, we state all the stuff that's going on and we uncover all the pain points that a prospect has, and they don't feel like changing, then hey, you did your job. You found out that they had X, Y, and Z pain, but they're too stuck in their ways or they still feel like the pain of staying is better than the pain of leaving. Then they'll do that. So what does this have to do with life, right? People will only change their situation if they feel the pain of staying is worse than the pain of leaving. Okay, so to understand that and unpack that sentence, humans are creatures of habit, right? I'm sure you guys have heard that, right? We love our routines. We love going to the same places, hanging out with the same people, being around the same everything. We don't want to change. Change is unnatural to us. Change is uncomfortable. Change is going on into this unknown that we know nothing about, right? Or maybe we have a little idea about, but in the end, in reality, we don't really know, right? And it's really, and I'll give you guys an anecdote. So as a child, when I was in, elementary school and I was pretty young, I used to hate change. Like at the end of I believe it was fifth grade, where you have to go from fifth grade to sixth grade and you have to change schools and everything. I was so nervous. I did not want to do it. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to be the same thing. And it's like, okay, why is that my initial thinking, right? Is it because I really loved elementary school, or is it because I'm just scared or just unfamiliar with the unknown? And that's natural human instinct, because keep in mind, I'm in fifth grade. I don't even know what's going on, and I'm so stuck in a routine, in this thing, right? I'm so stuck in this thing that I don't want to change. And even if I don't know, that the possibility of leaving could be better, right? So understanding that people innately don't want to change, they don't want to leave their current situation. What causes them to leave, right? It's the pain. And when you look at it that way, you start to uncover things about why people make every decision that they make, right? If you're the example I give, and I've heard a lot of people say that, is like, if you were so uncomfortable with not having a six pack, or if you're fat and you're so uncomfortable with how you look, to the point it gets to a certain point where you're gonna start going to the gym, you're gonna start eating healthy because you hate it so much, or it's hindering your daily life, or it's affecting you, right? So once you figure out what it is, why people make decisions, and I'm just telling you kind of how that works right now, then you're able to take a look at things and analyze why it is that people do certain things. I mean, why do people stay in relationships that are toxic, right? Or relationships that are bad? It's because the fear of leaving is worse than the pain of staying, right? And I can go examples after examples after examples after examples of all these different things that we can talk about and say it has an effect, and people either stay or leave because of the pain that they're feeling, right? But if you're able to understand this concept of the thresholds for pain that people have, because again, that threshold's different for every person, right? One person might feel a little bit of pain, boom, jump off, right? And once you figure out what it is that causes people to move, and what it is that drives people to make decisions, you can kind of figure out and take a look at things a little more objectively, right? And I say this from a perspective of looking at your own life, right? Instead of looking at it as like, oh, I don't want to change because I'm a creature of habit. Look at it as objectively as you possibly can, knowing, this is X benefits, this is Y benefits, and taking a logical look, right? Because a lot of times, we'll get emotion involved in it, and that detaches from what you're really looking for, right? And that's another part of selling that I haven't gone into. Sales is a lot more than just this, but this is the basic explanation that kind of can guide you through so many things. I mean, I notice it in my daily life, just things that people make, the decisions that people make, just the way that people act and they navigate and they sort of do certain things. It's clear to me that it's all based off of this principle, right? Of, is the pain of staying worse than the pain of leaving? So I'll leave you guys with that thought, and just kind of take a look in your daily life. You'll see examples of it everywhere. And also think about yourself as well. Think about it as objectively as you can, right? Is the pain of staying worse than the pain of leaving, right? And take emotion out of it, and just look at things objectively, logically. So I'll leave you guys with that thought. I'll see you guys in the next one.